What's up, y'all? It's your boy Who's Who 74, and we back with One Piece chapter 1170. I did see the spoilers for this chapter. We're not gonna talk about the spoilers, so I know it's gonna go up, but I'm waiting to get into it and see what's gonna go on. I will give y'all a hint. We're gonna finally see something that I've been waiting to see. I'm not gonna say this whole flashback, but halfway through the flashback. Once we get halfway through the flashback, I pretty much been talking about how I wanted to see this the whole time, and I'm finally gonna get to see it now. We gonna get into it though, okay? I'm gonna let y'all start off with me watching these cover spreads, the color spreads and shit like that, cause unless it's a story it's telling, I don't give a fuck about that. You got the weekly Shonen Jump, they're giving us a color spread. I guess these are all the poppin' shonen right now. Color illustration Val 2 for all you guys that like that shit. And then we get the name of this chapter, which is Contradictions. And we see the illustration art, the cover request by 420 Ian Jimbei as a ticket clerk for an eel train serving bentos. And then we got a bunch of like kid toddler straw hats. And Robin looked like she about uh she's older than the rest of them for sure. Whatever reason why I don't know. But these colors, these request things are I'm not into them at all. I don't like them. I don't care for them. Y'all be requesting some dumb shit. Okay, so before we get into this chapter, we finna flame up this blunt. So y'all already know how we go. Kick back, relax, flame up, and review with me. If you do not have a blunt to smoke on your own, feel free to hit mine as I put it to the screen. Don't be over hitting the fucking blunt though. You feel me? That's all you gotta not do. All right, y'all, let's get into it. This gonna be kind of a spicy chapter, folks. We ain't gonna lie. All right, so I'm gonna switch back. So I'm not gonna let y'all see the whole thing with me. I'm gonna illustrate half of it for y'all, and then I'll let y'all watch the good shit with me when we get towards the end. Cause again, I'm not familiar with how copyright works, so I don't want them to try to strike me. I don't want them to try to strike me. All right, so we start off is where we left off last chapter when Loki had just got to the room where the sacred devil fruit was, and the hammer tried to sneak his ass. So we start off from here. The hammer sneak attack. So that motherfucker launched at Loki, but Loki dodged it with the lean back. Loki gets up, he like, bastard, who threw that hammer? Come out. Nigga, ain't nobody throw the hammer. That bitch threw itself, hit blunt. So he walks back in, he says, there gotta be someone here. Whatever. I have to eat that devil fruit. As he walks in the room again, he see this the chest with the devil fruit in it just standing there. But he on cue because he kind of looking around like somebody was in this bitch because she still thinks somebody threw that hammer at his ass. So he's gritting his teeth together, and that's then pow, the hammer bust through the door, bust through the wall again, and the hammer is now making squeak noises, squeak squeak. So one of the things we did get from the spoilers, okay, we gonna talk about that is well, we ain't gonna say nothing. We gonna talk about that once it reveals itself. But the hammer says squeak squeak. My God of War fans should know where I'm going. So Loki is running now. He's trying to run past the hammer so he can get to the chest to get the devil fruit. Loki says, "Whoa, you gotta be kidding me. There's no way it's that heavy." As he see like the impact that the hammer is making just by hitting the ground. Cause the hammer, when it came back in the room and landed on the ground, like it literally busted the ground like a fucking soccer punch. Like that motherfucker was like Shanara. Also, Merry Christmas to y'all. So Loki running, he's striking it. He trying to run past the all the fucking collapsing ground beneath him cause the hammer like just did that. And he's saying the hell is going on? This is he said, what the hell is going on? Is this the crypt old castle just falling apart? And then we cut back to the outside where Harold is surrounded by a bunch of guards. Harold is saying your efforts are futile, Loki. Generations of rulers have watched over that devil fruit. Yet for centuries it has gone uneaten, not by choice, but because no one could eat it. Harold just standing there looking like lost. Like you could tell he's not in control of his body and there's somebody else there because he's just looking like empty. You feel me? And the emptiness in his eyes, even though he's looking angry, he got an axe in one hand and a sword in another hand, surrounded by a bunch of guards, and some of them are just down, like on the ground, dead, slaughtered. He got blood on the motherfucking on his arms, blood on the axe. Yeah, this when they animate this shit gonna be dark and gritty as hell. For it got to be. If they don't do it the way they being shown in this, like portrayed in this manga, that's a fumble. Cause there's some dark shit. Harold got that motherfucking Michael Myers vibe going on right now. So then we cut back to Loki, who was still running from the hammer, and the hammer is like thumbing for his ass. Loki running, and the hammer is like whack-a-mole and behind him. You feel me? Ragnar simply hasn't deemed anyone worthy. Harold still talking as Loki is getting pursued. So let's go back to it. So while Loki is running and Harold's just talking, being surrounded by guards, Harold is saying, your efforts are futile, Loki. Generations of rulers have watched over that devil fruit, yet for centuries it has gone uneaten, not by choice, but because no one could eat it. Ragnar simply hasn't deemed anyone worthy. But with my current strength, he says, with my current strength, and as he says that, we see a axe and a sword go up into the air, which could be Harold. He has an axe and a sword in his hand, like I said, getting ready to do an attack on the guards surrounding him. Next. Okay, no, so it actually ended up being Gopper Gaban and Shanks. That was his axe and Shanks' sword, coated with Conqueror's hockey, and they just ran through Harold. It looked like they chopped his leg off. Yep, they chopped his leg off. So he's falling backwards to the ground from that, but it's not going to kill him. So Shanks says those wounds are already causing him a lot of pain. Shanks says his healing abilities are struggling to keep up. Don't let up. Eventually he'll be driven into a corner. Folks like him are weak to conquerors, Haki Koten. And then as Gabon says that, Harold looks at him like, bitch ass Gabon hit blunt. Harold give him this like look like, damn, you like, but that's Emu, you feel me, who really saying that. And then he swings his axe at them saying, you dare oppose me. Gabon says, you bet, we can't let you run wild just cause you gone crazy. As Gabon and Shanks are still dodging, Shanks says, Gabon, he said, you're familiar with the weakness of these knights of gods. Gabon says, I can't remember how many times they tried to take you back. So when Shanks was a baby, they did reveal this in the spoilers. When Shanks was a baby, the God's Knight showed up plenty of times trying to take Shanks, I guess when they found out that the Roger Pirates had him. How did they find out the Roger Pirates had him? I don't know, but somebody probably seen them somewhere. But if Shanks don't remember this shit, then it had to have been during the time when he was too young to remember. So it's a good question. How did they know he was on that ship? But they fought multiple times, and this is why Kaban is saying he know about them. And that's most likely, once I read the spoilers, I speculated that's most likely where Scopper Gaban and Saint Summers had that interaction where Scopper beat Summers' ass that got him spooked this day. So we see a flashback of it looks like I guess a marine ship pulling up on the um the Rogers pirate ship, the Aurora Jackson, whatever the fuck it's called, something Jackson. And they're saying, "Hey, that redhead boy, we know you have him. He looks just like our captain's son. Hand him over." And then Gopper says, "Back then, I just slice him up and we send him packing." And then we see Shanks as he's saying something, but he got a little bubble with an image of Summers in it. And Shanks says, "Oh yeah, that Summers guy did mention something like that." Yep, so confirmed. Shanks whooped it. I mean, Scopper Caban whooped his ass during that time when they was trying to get Shanks back. Caban says those were the days. Frankly, it's surprising that a fighting force like that originates from the Holy Land. Most celestial dragons are useless. Those guys consider themselves divine, living sedentary lives and keeping well clear of our world. Meanwhile, my life's always giving me the chills. You can call that fate. Gabon. Then we see Harold, who is, I guess, no, Harold is still not regenerated. Let's point that out. I'm gonna switch with y'all now. Y'all can see with me. But note, Harold is still not regenerated from when they chopped his leg off right here. You see my mouse moving. It's still not regenerated yet, but he's up and on the pursuit. He swings at them again. Harold says, Gabon, son, I want to save. And as Shank says, Gabon, son, I want to save Harold. Gabon says, but you're the one who told me how hopeless it is once you become a god's knight. Gabon then says, I'm afraid Loki's our best bet. And then we cut back to Loki, who was in the room with the hammer. And Loki says, don't make me repeat myself, Hammer. Move it. The Hammer's wheezing, Loki wheezing. Loki says, so you're basically the national treasure's guardian. How can you even move? What's going on? As the hammer jumps up, Loki cocks his hammer back to get ready to swing at it because it's that motherfucker Ragnar coming at him. Loki says, I'm so over this as he slams his hammer right into Ragnar and it shatters his hammer in the process, actually. Y'all can see that. Loki screams, ah, my hammer. Ragnar really thumps to the ground because the impact of Loki hitting it, you feel me? Even though it broke Loki hammer, it did knock Ragnar back. And then as we see Ragnar, this was in the spoilers, transforms into a squirrel. They didn't say it was a squirrel with a hammer for a head, but still, with a hammer on top of his head, but still, it transforms to a squirrel. We see Loki daze that motherfucker because it got a little knot on his hammer forehead. You feel me? And yeah, so Vataskar from Norse mythology, my God of War fans, y'all know what I'm talking about. Um, it's the squirrel that guard, what that tends to the roots of the and the branches of the Yggdrasil, the tree of life. And it also, you feel me, looks after the guardian of the tree of life, which is that lightning dragon, that lightning serpent thing. Now note this entire time we have not seen Ragnar do anything that involves any type of lightning, okay? I just want to point that out. So it's the lightning part of Loki's ability once he receives the devil fruit. Let's keep going. Just maybe we'll see him eat it in this chapter. I don't know. So the hammer, so once the hammer Ragnar turned back to Rataskar, or we just gonna keep calling it Ragnar the squirrel until they say if it's Rataskar or not. But I'm gonna call it Rataskar. And motherfuckers like, sheesh. All right, so we cut over to Harold again. Harold is mowing down guards. He's like, be gone. Shanks and Gabon tired now. They're like, how we supposed to end this? That's what Shanks said. Gabon says, well, honestly, I never fought one who has conqueror's hockey too. Okay, so Summers don't get conqueror's hockey. Most of the holy knights do not have conqueror's hockey, as noted. Most of the holiest knights of the God's Knight do not have conqueror's hockey. Gunko showed no sign of it. Summers showed no sign of it, and even um Killingham has showed no sign of it so far. Garland showed no sign of it. Shit, doing the flashback, yeah, Garland showed no sign of conqueror's hockey. Maybe he got it over time. I know Shanks got that shit for sure. The question is, does Shamrock have it? Hit blunt. All right. So we cut over to Ja Rule, who is still on the ground saying, soldiers, stop Harold. We can't allow him to get his hands on that devil fruit. And we see Harold is just still pursuing forward, mowing motherfuckers down. He got swords and spears all in his chest. He's just still pressing forward. I'm trying to see if his leg healed yet. It's not showing that. But we see that Loki has now gotten the devil fruit from the chest. The squirrel who no longer has a hammer on top of his head now, just pointing that out, has now given Loki the devil fruit. He eats it and his hand starts to instantly turns into claws. For everybody that's been wondering, well, his nails start turning into claws. For everybody who been wondering where those claw marks in the throne room comes from, confirmed. And we see silhouette. like spikes growing, I guess, from his back or his head, but he's transforming. And once that motherfucker transforms, he's bigger than what he already was. Let's start there. We all we see is giant silhouette with eyes, and we see a roaring. Y'all see that shit. And Rataskar is just in love seeing that shit. So whatever the fuck Loki is transformed into is pressing forward. But then, out of nowhere, I guess Loki transforms. Let's go through this and see what's going on. So we see Harold standing surrounded by flames as he's pulling his spear out of one of the soldiers. He killing their ass. All the soldiers dead. Loki, Harold there. We see Harold then saying, "Show me its legendary. Show me its legendary power." Oh, okay. Okay, so Harold then, I'm reading it wrong. So that's after Harold kills some old soldiers, he looks and he says, "Did you eat it, Loki?" He then says, I guess he swings at Loki and says, "Show me its legendary power." As he slashes at, we don't see what, but whatever he slashes at knocks him back. He gets up and you can see claw marks, you feel me, on like you could see like y'all see this shit, folks. Whatever you feel me, Loki is slashed when they swiped his ass, it slashed his ass. I see one, two, three claw marks. Harold starts to regenerate. As he's regenerating, he gets bitch slapped and then smacked to the ground. Man, damn, Loki running, putting his ass through it. And whatever Loki is right now, we just see like the shadow of it. We see the top of the hand silhouetted holding Harold's head. Y'all can see that right here. But then we just see the shadows of what's really going on. And I guess whatever the fuck it is de-transforming. As we see the horns forming, and then next we see Loki standing there holding Ragnar. Loki lifts Ragnar in the air as Harold is standing there saying, "Huff, huff, I knew it, Loki. You have the blood of a conqueror flowing inside you." Yeah, Loki just ran his ass through it, mixed his ass up, even though we didn't see what was going on. But we seeing the looks on Harold's face as he getting pieced up. Loki says, "Hey, if you've come back to your senses," and then Harold says, "It won't last. Don't drop your guard." He says, "Look around. I'm beyond redemption anyway." Loki says, "You were being controlled, weren't you?" Harold says, "Not quite. It's more like that thing is influencing my thoughts. I started to consider myself a god." Harold says, "You have what it takes to lead Elbaf well. Try to get along more with your brother, though." Loki screams, "You're the worst, you know that." He says, "Having your own son take your life, what kind of father does that?" Harold says, "One last thing I almost forgot. I want to I want to thank you about Ida. Burning down Alcohol Village didn't make her better, but it was," he said, "I was touched by how much you loved her." As we see the tattoo on his arm starts to like spread, I'm assuming that's what it's doing. And then Harold says, "Hurry. It's taking over me again." Loki says, "I'll never forgive you," as he swings his hammer and saying, "For making me do all the dirty work here." Harold smiles and oh, lightning strikes right into the throne room as Loki's hammer makes contact with Harold. So confirmed, the hammer doesn't. do the lightning strike itself, Loki plus that devil fruit with the hammer causes the lightning strike. And as that happens, we see Harold's body literally shattering apart, breaking apart. And we see Loki crying as he's having flashbacks of the first time Harold seen him. He says, Loki, my dear son, when Loki was a baby and Harold was young. And then we see somebody, I think Harold saying the only thing that really matters is securing Elbaf's future. And we get at the end of the chapter. Tragic flashback, bro. One Piece just keep doing it over and over again with the tragic flashbacks, bro. Harold did not like him. You feel me? I was eager to see him die, but I'm gonna be honest. If I'm being a solid buck, it did kind of get me to feel a little bit bad for him in the end, but not really too bad because everything he did, bro, you brought it on yourself. Like, bro, you really brought this on yourself. And Loki just so fucked up behind this shit, I could tell. And then he got Hyrule and in the future, everybody, oh, you killed Harold, oh, you killed my dad, and, oh, you did it just because you wanted power and control, and woo, woo, woo. They don't know what that boy really going through. Yeah, Harold was redeemed in his death. I give him that. He was redeemed in his death, okay? Eager to see what's gonna go on next chapter though. I'm dying to see what the fuck Loki's transformation really is. So that's why I'm assuming this flashback is almost over. I don't think it's over completely because we gotta see what Loki decides to do after Harold died because he clearly didn't do what Harold said do, take the throne, tell the people what happened. Harold was a fool. Ooh, he clearly did something else where he took the blame. So we gonna get all that all the way up to the point where he leaves to go on the rampage and Shanks brings him back and becomes the emperor from fighting them and all that. We gonna see all that before we get back to current day. But once we get back to current time, Loki and Luffy gonna show up after we see some shit with Zoro and Sanji, cause they showing up first. Sanji will demonstrate some conqueror's hockey. Don't get it twisted. But it ain't gonna be enough. But Loki and Luffy gonna show up to deal with the Domi Reversi Giants and Emu. And we gonna see Loki's transformation in full then. So let's wrap this motherfucker flashback up already, cause I don't get what I wanted to see. You got Rocks. Rocks gone after Rocks died. All I wanted to see was Harold die. I got to see Harold die. Let's wrap this shit up. Come on, let's get it. That's Who's Who 74. Hit that blunt one more time, and I'll see y'all next week.